Welcome to the Courage in Cannabis show, where we bring you insightful conversations with the authors of the number one best-selling books, Courage in Cannabis. I'm your host, Candy Flores, and today we're diving into the community that makes the cannabis space great. Today we have with us Brandon Jones from Kansas City, Missouri, sharing his story of recovery and survival. Welcome, Brandon.
Hi.
But before we embark on his literary journey, a quick shout out to our sponsors of the book series who help make this podcast possible: Compass Naturals, Endovibe Cannabis Centers, Spender, The Canna Mom Show, Blev 614 Network, Cannabis BPO, Columbus Botanical Depot, DAGA Digital Marketing, Hempok, etc., Ohio Medical Marijuana Physicians Association. Remember, the Courage in Cannabis book series is a series project of the Growth, Harmony, and Happiness Community Foundation. You can learn more about each or these on courageincannabis.com. Now let's get started. Brandon, can you share with us a bit about your experience with the car accident and how it impacted your life?
Yeah, it was pretty, crazy. I just graduated high school. I'd gotten a new stick car for graduation. I had learned a little bit, on the farm with my grandpa how to drive a stick, and it was a rainy day, so I didn't have to go to work. Me and my brother got in the car, went to Best Buy to where you had to go purchase CDs back then. And so the wreck was in 1998. I got out of Best Buy, got in my car, and got ready to leave. And I got in the middle lane and went to take off, and I rolled back in a Hallmark delivery truck, T-boned me, and I had 155 stitches just in this one side of my face. And I'm actually having a piece of glass
Oh,
come out of my nose right now. And the wreck, like I said, was 25 years ago. It was 1998. If you can do some
wow.
fun math, that's right when Purdue Pharma passed OxyContin as well, too. So I woke up to 13 shots of
Hmm.
morphine, and then I got to be put on a morphine drip every 8 minutes, and then prescribed opioids heavily, and follow that regiment until I decided that I needed to find something else. I had blood in my urine and was just not doing well mentally and physically, and just was in a bad place and didn't know what to do, and just was following the doctor's prescriptions and taking the drugs that they prescribed. And I guess now you're not even allowed to give shots when someone is still unconscious. I guess that's kind of given known to like make people want to chase or search out that high even harder than those that have been able to come back from unconsciousness on their own and then given medicine once they've come back to. So that's kind of a thing that I went through as well. So I was and given those shots while unconscious, then given rounds of Oxycontin, and then
Wow.
hydrocodone and codeine after that. So yeah,
Wow. Oh.
I was
What was
very,
the
very
most
lucky.
challenging? Uh-huh. Oh,
I
yes,
guess I
you
would say
were.
I was very, very lucky that I had family and friends. So I had a very dear
Yes.
friend that was also in the math and physics program at the school that I went to,
Mhm.
that just happened to have a family that grew up around cannabis as medicine. And he was someone that I actually really respected his opinion. I spent a lot of time with him just talking, and he got to know me. And he's the one that actually introduced me to cannabis and gave it to me a week for free to get me to try to get off of that, because he'd seen me, on the side of a ditch and, just not in a very well a mental space. And he was a friend. And then I have a wonderful family that support me throughout the endeavor. They did not ever believe in cannabis until just a few years ago when it actually went legal, and they got to see some of the shows, actually Canna Cribs. If you ever watched that show back in the day,
Mhm.
that went on the facility tours. And I got to show my dad, hey, this is what they're really doing behind the scenes. It's not somebody hiding over here doing this. They're trying to provide the best medicine possible to patients that
Mhm.
can, find an alternative medicine versus taking all these prescribed opioids. So luckily, I
Oh,
had
that's
support
amazing.
and people that believed in me and wanted me to find a way to get to the other side. So it was rough.
That's amazing. Yes, absolutely. You've got a great story. What was the most challenging aspect of recovering from both the physical injuries and the opiate addiction?
Well, the physical injuries hurt me a lot because I was trying to be a baseball player at the time. I was on scholarship to go play college baseball and all that. And basically, I had to almost
Mhm.
reteach myself to walk again. I was, in the bed
Wow.
for 2.5 weeks before I could even, get up and walk again. I was on a catheter and an IV and all of that fun stuff. I wasn't allowed to take a shower because I had so many sutures on my face. It was almost like day 9 or 10 that they took me to the burn unit and let me get in a bathtub to at least get some sort of cleanliness. So just losing my
Wow.
overall being an athlete, just losing that ability. I've grown up trying,
Mhm.
working since I was 12 years old. I actually didn't even drink soda most of the time. I was a kid in high school that put water in his beer to go hang out at the parties so I could look cool, but not actually drink beer. Um, so yeah, I
Mhm.
was on a train always looking for, trying to build for a future, and then in an instant that
Mhm.
plan or that dream was taken away. I couldn't be a Division One or a baseball player like I could be pre-car wreck, and that was literally a one instant change in my life that I had spent 6 years building towards. So that kind of changed my whole
Right.
mental thing, and not in the best way. I was more living for
Right.
just today. Who cares about tomorrow because it might not be here. And so
Mhm.
that mental aspect of that being on opioids and then going to college and introduced to alcohol for the first time, it was a really,
Mhm.
all at one thing, big change right after a major brain trauma injury. So my whole mindset was like trying to figure out, who am I? Where am I supposed to be? Why am I doing this? Why did this
Wow.
happen to me? And so,
Mhm.
yeah, suicide was something that I attempted, and was upset that it didn't happen. It was car wrecks that I tried to induce that I was
Mhm.
upset that I got out of, but luckily I did.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Uh, that type of trauma can cause some dark uh, places for us. Let's see. What specific ways did cannabis help you during your recovery process?
Oh man, it helped pretty much in every possible way we could talk about. So if we want to talk about the mental ability, it let me be kind of in my moment. And if you could even notice now, I'm always like this. When I can smoke, I could kind of
Mhm.
relax,
Mhm.
sit back for the first time. My shoulders weren't stressed. I wasn't on edge. I wasn't anxious. It allowed me mentally to just kind of get out of my own headspace for a second and relax and have my body sit back. So it just helps in a full circle way. When my body felt better, it helped my mind feel better, which helped my body feel even better because then I wanted to be better. So it was a full turn cycle that helped me both physically and mentally because it helped with the pain. I didn't have to take 7 to 10 Advil at a time. I was up to like 24
Mhm.
Advil a day when I couldn't get opioids to deal with the pain. And so that's where the blood
Right.
came into my urine, was from all the ibuprofen and all the stuff that I had to take. And so being able to deal with the pain, not taking those pills and not being in sort of a grog or a cloud. People say when
Mhm.
you're in
Mhm.
cannabis, you're more out in the world. Well, me, I was on so many opioids that my head was constantly in a cloud. And when I could get off of that and smoke some herbal medicine, I was more hyper focused. I have, OCD, ADHD, all of that. I have a math and physics degree, so I'm very high functioning, but I'm pretty sure I'm on some sort of spectrum somewhere. So I've, it helped me just be able to get back into being able to focus again,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
be able to want to be better, which is hard, hard to think that you would say that that's came from smoking cannabis, but the alternative of what it was doing to me and what I could see after I wasn't in that cloud, but I still wasn't hurting all of the time, it gave me hope.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Were there any concerns or hesitations you had about using cannabis as part of your recovery journey?
yeah, like I said, I had been offered in high school and college all the years smoke, and I
Mhm.
just like I said, I didn't even drink soda. I was a My brother
Mhm.
actually won the Dare essay for the state of Kansas. So that's the type of environment I grew up in. We still can't have a beer
Mhm.
at Thanksgiving because my grandma will come around and take it out of your hand, even if you're my aunts and uncles that are in their 60s. So
Mhm.
when a friend, like I said, luckily I really trusted my friend. They came and said, "Hey, this is a true medicine. I just want you to please just try this." I was very, very hesitant. I didn't know how to smoke it. I didn't know,
Right.
I had no idea what I was doing, and I thought it was just something to get high. And so I was very, very hesitant, but he broke it down to me in a way that I understood a little bit and was willing to try.
Mhm.
Like I said, after a week of him supplying me for free, I was sold. 3 months later, I was pretty much off of all opioids.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Can you describe the differences you notice in managing pain and cravings between opiates and cannabis?
Well, at the very beginning, especially of the opioids, being on a drip, you got to push a button every 8 minutes. I'm just sitting here watching a
Mhm.
clock
Mhm.
constantly, and it didn't matter if I was asleep, I was still pushing. It was something that kind of that craving controlled everything. That was, when am I
Mhm.
allowed
Oh,
to
yeah.
on the next one? Because I was prescribed and I was trying to follow the doctor's thing. So I was like, literally, I was taking 6 hours. Boom, take another one. And it never got to a point of being at a calm state. It was either I just took it and all this feels really good and oh my goodness, to like, oh, it's almost time for me to take one. Can I take one? Can I take one? Can I take one? Am I allowed to take one? Okay, now I can take one.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
never really a place of being at functioning. It was either just taking it and I'm really, induced. I'm really, have a lot of medicine in my bloodstream,
Right.
or I'm chasing and wanting it to come back. So there was not really
Right.
a Zen type moment where with cannabis I could find that place where I'm feeling where I want to feel and I can stop there. And yes, I mean, if I look at my bag and I'm getting low, that does get me a little anxious, but I don't really have that problem or issue anymore because now I'm in Missouri where, what do you know? If I
Right.
want to, I can just go to a dispensary and purchase medicine right now.
Right. That's
That is
awesome.
something I
So
did
you
kind of want
mentioned
to
you were on a
discuss
drip.
though,
Were you?
is being in
Mhm.
Kansas City, it's very strange. My parents still live in Kansas,
Mhm.
and I have a 4-year-old. So I can't cross the state line because even if I have a remnants of a piece of something inside my car, that's a 30-day minimum jail sentence for remnants in Kansas with
Wow.
kids. So my parents have to drive a block into Missouri for when they pick up my son to be able to
Mhm.
babysit because they don't want me to go to jail. They also
Wow.
like to help me with my son,
Right.
and they love, he loves his
Mhm.
nana papa, but holy cow, like
Mhm.
it's crazy to be in a city where literally half of it, the state line, you can be on one side and you can gamble, but you can't buy cannabis, and on the other side
Mhm.
of the street, you can't gamble, but you can buy cannabis. And it's literally one
Wow.
block. You're just on one side of the street. So it's a very weird
Kind of
city
like you step
to be in
over
this
it.
time. Yeah, it's very strange. We
Yeah.
actually did something with the normal team here where we had people in orange shirts on one
Mhm.
side of state line and people in green shirts on the other, and did drone footage and took over saying, this is crazy that it's illegal on this side of the street, but legal on this. So
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. So you mentioned you were on a morphine drip. Were you taking that, were you on a drip for how long were you on the drip for?
2 weeks inside of the hospital in the ICU. Yeah, so every 8 minutes I
Okay.
got
So
to
then
push the
after
button
that, you
for
were
two
taking
weeks.
oral.
Yeah, taking oral,
Right.
and then after morphine, it was OxyContin, then
Mhm.
OxyContin to hydrocodone, then hydrocodone to codeine, then codeine to Advil. And they're take as many
Right.
Advil as you
Right.
can, need to. So I was taking like 28 Advil a day. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And definitely people need to realize how that's hurting our body internally when we do that.
Yes. And this,
Did you
like I said, this
did you
was
encounter any
1998
obstacles
when.
or
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
did you encounter any obstacles or challenges in accessing cannabis as a for your pain for as far as your recovery plan?
Yes.
Did
So,
you?
I mean, luckily, like I said, my friend was the one that gave it to me. So he was the person that was
Hmm.
sourcing this stuff. But this was my car goes in
Right.
1998. I was basically 3 years of
Hmm.
opioids. So it was about 2001 when I started consuming
Hmm.
cannabis. So you can imagine this. I also went to school in Kansas where it's
Exactly.
still illegal. So
Illegal.
yes,
Right.
it was a scary situation many times. But luckily, I wasn't the
Hmm.
one that had to go most of the time. But yeah, it's still scary in Kansas right now for people that are trying to access medicine for children. I know parents that are leaving the state and moving for their children and stuff like that. So yes, it was scary accessing cannabis in 2001 in
Hmm.
Kansas. All the way up
I can
until
imagine.
and I just moved back here having my son a couple years ago, and I
Uh-huh.
purposely moved on the Missouri side of Kansas City, knowing that I needed to have access to my plant for my medicine. So
Right.
that was literally number one criteria is, well, I'm moving back to Kansas City, but it's going to have to be on the Missouri side.
Right. Okay. What advice would you give to others who may be considering cannabis as a relief for their own recovery journey?
Well, I would always say if you're on anything that's made by a pharmacy, please try to get something that's made by a plant, if you can.
Hmm.
It's not for everyone. I'm not going to sit here and say this is a cure all for everyone and every single person. It interacts differently, but I would say please
Right.
try to get on a plant medicine versus a pharmaceutical
Hmm.
opioid. Find a way to get off of that.
Hmm.
Any type of medicine, meaning blood pressure, depression. There's so many things that cannabis can help with if you're on a pill. See if you can replace a pill with a plant any
Right.
single time that you can. And I just
Right.
think that a lot of people um, put cannabis in just one specific spot or lane when there's so many different types
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
cannabis and ways we can actually consume it that
Right.
it's just not one single type
In
of
so many
medicine,
ways.
and it can help us for
Right.
not so many things. And my funnest thing is like it can make you hungry. Yes, it can give you the munchies, or
Hmm.
there's actually strains that can make you depress your appetite. So it's the plant, we can use it and find the genetics to make it do wonderful things for our body. And if we actually learn how to pheno
Right.
hunt those correct cultivars that make our body react the correct way, then
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
find your own true medicine. And that's what I recommend is a journal. you know, Writing things down. What
Absolutely. Yes.
cultivars work for you?
Hmm.
What made you feel what way? Why did it feel? And then research what
Hmm.
terpenes are in that. It's the terpene profile of that
Right.
cultivar specifically, and how they're mixed and put together. Those terpenes are going to be what give you that effect. And I think that people just that don't do as much research and education just say, oh, well, this is the stuff that makes me tired and hungry. Well, I don't want to be tired and
Hmm.
hungry, so
Hmm.
I don't want that. Well, I use
Right.
the exact opposite. If you can't tell, I'm up at 4:45. I don't smoke any stuff that's going to make me couch or want to, go to
Right.
sleep. I like
Same.
those
Oh, yeah. I'm the
lifting
same way.
strains, right?
Yeah. I'm more
So
sativa or hybrid. No indicas here.
yeah,
But
yeah. And then again,
definitely.
that structure of the plant. Sativa is a plant
Right.
structure, and indica is a plant
Hmm.
structure.
Hmm.
That's not an
Hmm.
actual effect. So a
Right.
sativa structure just means it's. I don't know, my hands over here. Just means that it's more fingers and reaches, and the indica is more of a bush and grows lower like this. So it's the structure of the plant, not the actual effect. But
Right. Right. Are you,
here I go
do
again.
you use any cannabinoids as well?
Yes, just to spin specifically. Sorry, I use a lot of balms, specific pain, but
Got it. Okay. Looking back on your experience, what do you believe are the most important lessons you've learned about pain management, addiction, and recovery?
that I guess getting rid of the stereotype that I had associated with cannabis was the biggest hurdle for me at the beginning. I've been told for so long and in
Hmm.
so many ways by all of my family and everybody, that this is something that's going to harm you, not hurt you. It's the gateway drug, not the exit drug. And I would just,
Right.
think people to get away from the stigma and try it for themselves and see it, small dose, little things, things like that to see if it works for you. But I guess the stigma and just the association behind it, especially strong in my family. Like I said, my brother won the DARE essay for the state of Kansas. So just that
Yeah.
kind of background, thinking that this is what this is, kind of
Yeah.
made it. And that's why I really do appreciate this being called Courage in Cannabis, not in marijuana. I do, still, really don't understand why even like in packaging in Missouri, they made it a law that you have to have marijuana on the package. Like, how about cannabis? But I get on my little soapboxes, but.
Definitely. Well, as we wrap up, what message or takeaway do you hope for people to take away from your story?
That just you can get through opioid addiction. I grew up here in Kansas City, in Missouri, where I-70 is known for opioid addiction, and where many of my friends and people did not make it through. So that is the biggest thing that I want people to take away is you can break that, you can beat that shit. Excuse my language. You can beat opioids. You can get off it. You can. Don't give up. Don't think you can't. And if it's not cannabis, I don't care. Find something that helps you get off opioids. If it's running, I don't find out some outlet that gets you away from that drug, that gets you back in control of your life. And I just think cannabis is an exit and was an exit drug for me. So that's all I'd say. Don't give
Are
up.
we having some
You can do it.
issues?
Yeah,
Brandon?
I'm here. I came back. You
Great.
kicked me out and I'm back.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. That's literally the story. Pretty much
Great. And I
exactly
can
what just happened there. You can kick me out, but I'm coming back.
That's right. And you're coming back stronger, right?
That's right.
Yes, I can
So
definitely relate to that opiate abuse and how, or not abuse, but addiction. And cannabis is definitely our savior. And I appreciate you sharing your story with us.
no, thank you for letting me
Okay,
be here
well,
and have this space, and so grateful for what you guys are doing, and Dr. Bridget and the whole team, and got to see my boy Waxy Brown on here, and I know so many of the other authors that are in the book, and I'm just so grateful to be in the space with advocates that are here fighting for access to the plant. So thank you for having me here.
thank you. Thank you for your support. This is
Always.
Courage and This is Courage and Cannabis Show. Thank you so much, Brandon, for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us today. Before we go, where can our listeners find you and connect with
On
you online?
Sure, on IG, I'm the real Boost Man. I do the Integra Boost, the humidity packs to keep your flower fresh. So I'm the real Boost Man on IG. Facebook, I'm Brandon Jones. There's only 5 million of us. On LinkedIn, also Brandon Jones. And then bgreendistribution.com. So just the letter B and then green spelled out distribution.com. On there, it's got all the links to all my pages and all my social media and the team and everything that we do over at Be Green.
Wonderful. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Courage and Cannabis, the community stories. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcasts. And stay tuned for more captivating conversations with authors sharing their courage in cannabis. To learn more about Courage and Cannabis, go to courageandcannabis.com and you can purchase the books on Amazon. Until next time, happy reading.